Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today I'm going to go through and start fixing up a few of the little issues that I found on the 680 since I've started driving it. So as you might have seen in my drive video, I went through while driving this and there's a bunch of bits and pieces that need to be fixed up. It's the usual shakedown stuff. You drive the car. There's some things that I knew I had to do, other things I've discovered since driving. But either way, now it's sort of together. It's time to start working my way through the list I've created. And I've drawn it all up here, and I'll probably add things to it as I think of them. And I'm going to try and start crossing off most of the things on this list. And it's quite an extensive list, and there's a bit of work to do. So let's start with, the most important parts, which are in the engine bay, and we got to fix up that oil pressure gauge and the temperature gauge. Okay, so the original oil pressure sender on this car didn't appear to work, so I managed to get another one off of another wrecked engine. It's an old one, apparently hard to track down the original one, so I'm going to see if that one will work, and I've just made sure the wiring connection and everything is good, so that is easy. The more difficult one is the temperature sensor. I tried to get it out while it was in the car, and I know the guys who are dining my car mentioned that you're not going to get it out while the housing's on. It pokes all the way through into the inside and it looks like it's sort of semi-corroded in there. I'm going to now try and sort of somehow get this out and swap it over for a new one. And then fingers crossed my temperature gauge works. All right, that was a pig trying to get that sensor out. Basically, that is what the new sensor looks like. That is what's left, if I can show you that. That is what's left of the old sensor. Basically, the issue is it's just a press fit into the housing, but there's no way to grab hold of it, and it's hollow, basically. I mean, I ended up mangling it. It has a flat base on it, but there's nothing much inside of it. And trying to grab hold of it, I couldn't grab hold of it, I was just crushing it. In the end, I actually used my brain for once, and I grabbed the extension from my socket and stuck it inside. I could have grabbed a bolt or something, so then when I grabbed it, it actually held on to something, and then I could just twist it out. Should have thought of that way earlier. I did heaps of research on forums and stuff trying to work out how people get these things out, and it's pig, but it's out. So hopefully now I can just put the new one back in, install it all again, and then fingers crossed I have a working temperature gauge. While I've got the bonnet open, the next little simple thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go through and just soften up my dampers all around. The roads around here are really rough, and I've been driving it around, and it's not terrible, but it is sort of it's rougher than it needs to be. So I'm going to turn these all down to full soft now, and we'll just drive around like that and see how they are. The fronts of these MCA coilovers actually they just give you a couple little tools for the front ones because it doesn't the bonnet doesn't close if that's on. So I can just turn around the top, click it down all the way closed. Do the rears. The rears have the fitting right on the top of it, so it's just easy to just click it there, and hopefully it should be a little bit smoother to drive. All right, those bits and pieces are done. Next jobs are going to be underneath the car, so it's time to get it up on the hoist and see if we can tackle things like the handbrake and the fuel gauge. Okay, so these fittings up here, it's hard to see, but there's these two little fittings up here. They are actually where the fuel gauge is connected, and they're really loose and bad, and I knew they were when I connected them up, but I was too lazy to do anything about it. So now I'm going to have to do something about it so that I can get the gauge to work. At least adjusting the handbrake was quite simple. There's this little adjustment right there. You can probably see the clean part of the thread, but basically I've just wound it in quite a bit, so hopefully that should be a bit better now. If not, I may have to do some further adjusting. Okay, so the handbrake is adjusted and we actually have a fuel gauge now, and I actually swapped the horn over because I had to steal the horn from the 911 because the one I had didn't work, so hopefully the new horn works. Pinched off another wreck. All right, let's bring it down, see how my mods worked. So we're in the car now and it's time to check some gauges. So straight away, fuel gauge looks like it's coming up, which is good, and it looks like it's actually working better now, and it's telling me I'm quite empty. And the oil pressure gauge is now actually working. We actually have a reading on it, which is good. We have gauges. The temp gauge, I'm going to have to actually wait until the car is warm, but it's looking good. Okay, it's the next day, as you may be able to tell, and I've taken the car out. All of the gauges work, which is a massive win. That is a big step in the right direction. Next thing is this car is going to be going on some little road trips, and it's going to be a long time listening to that exhaust drone if I don't have anything in there. So I went down to Super Cheap and I got myself a stereo. I've got to put some speakers in and wire this thing up. So that's my next little challenge. Now, to put the speakers, there's not a lot of places to put speakers in this car. There's no sort of, I could possibly butcher some space in the doors. I don't want to do that. Factory, what they have in these rear panels is there's a couple of spots in the back of the car. If I just move these out of the way, and I deliberately haven't fixed everything into the back finally because I knew I had to do this step. You can see in the back of this this panel, you can see all these holes. So obviously that's where a speaker was going to go. Although there's a smaller one here, but there's no hole behind it. It actually looks like quite a bit of sort of structural metal there that I didn't really want to cut hole in to put a speaker in, and it's quite small anyway. So I'm going to put the main speaker. It is going to be right in the back of the car. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be, but we'll give it a go. That's all we got. So time to fit some speakers. Okay, so the speakers are in, and it's actually a couple of days later. I've been driving the car around, and one of the things I have noticed is when I was, particularly if I'm sort of going uphill, I back off in second, and then I hit back the accelerator again. I felt this clunk under my seat. I came out and I've sort of inspected the everything underneath. Everything is bolted up well, and what I've actually found is this: there is actually there's a bit of slack in the diff. After doing a bit of research, it seems like that is reasonably normal, particularly with these old diffs. But yeah, it's just something I need to keep an eye on, and it may be something I need to fix at some stage. Let me know if that seems like it's really excessive. It's not making any whining noises. It seems to be going okay. Yeah, there's just a bit of slack there. It's old. All right, time to bring it down, and let's finish up installing this stereo. One of the other initial issues I had with the car is the whole cabin was filling with fumes every time I drove it, and it had these exposed holes which I put some grommets in, and these ones I didn't have grommets quite big enough, so I've temporarily put some duct tape over the holes. But just filling these up stopped all the fumes getting inside the cabin, because these actually sit on the wrong side of the seal, so all the fumes would gather around the back of the car and then just go straight in, and it was really uncomfortable. So that has made it a much nicer place to be. And of course, last but not least, we need to actually put our disclaimer on the car. So I actually have a whole bunch of these stickers that I've ordered, but I don't have them available yet because I've been slack and I haven't finished building my website, but they will be available soon. And we have a stereo installed in the car. It's all done. There was a bit of messing around with the wiring, but it's all in here, ready to go. So I've got to fix up the colours because at the moment it's all lots of different horrible colours. There we go. At the moment it's flickering through all these horrible different colours. I just want a nice plain, probably a blue, a pale blue would be just perfect for in here. And that is it for all of the touch-ups. We are ready for our road trip in the Z. Okay, and that's it, a big long list of just lots of little bits and pieces that I have now knocked over on the car and managed to get it so that it is just a much nicer place to be, and it's a bit more comfortable because Mrs. Jeff and I are going to go on a bit of a longer shakedown road trip. Few hundred Ks just to really see if it really works the way it should. No backup vehicle, so fingers crossed. We're all good, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, please like and subscribe. Head down and follow the link to Patreon. That would really help us out, and you get to watch the videos earlier. Facebook and Instagram, Home Built by Jeff as well, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.